Black Talk Radio Network is made possible in part with help from the Black Talk Media Project, a North Carolina-based nonprofit engaged in the production and distribution of independent digital black media. Find out more by going to blacktalkradionetwork.com or blacktalkmediaproject.org and look for the menu tab, Crowdfunding Black Media. Black Talk Media Project, helping to provide you with new black media for the new millennium. And opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of BIB Radio. I am one of your hosts, CC Harry, along with my co-host, brother Robert 11X. Are you there, Robert?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here. How are you, CC?
I'm good. I'm wonderful. So, what's been going on this week?
Oh, man. Business as usual. A lot of new developing stories.
Wait, we kind of messed up. Today is February 23rd, 2017. I need to say that. I always say that. But yes, a lot of developing stories, you said.
Yes. And time to move on. As I said earlier today, it's just time for us to do what I believe is part of my calling, and that's how BIB, Blacks in Business, got started, with the actual ideal of being in Las Vegas, being at the trade shows, getting the information, getting it to our people so that they can win in being in business, having the correct information and knowing how to be in business can ensure a black entrepreneur longevity in business. So that's what Vegas will represent. And we just posted today on Facebook that it's time for us to pack our bags and, dot our I's and cross our T's to make our exodus out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Wait, we're moving to Vegas?
Yes, ma'am. We are out of here. We are going to a world's institution, Las Vegas, Nevada. That's a world's institution.
Right.
When people think of Vegas, they say Sin City. And all the holy people, that's what they refer it to as Sin City. When I went to Vegas, I didn't go to any bars or clubs or anything like that, no brothels or none of that. I went to Vegas and went to the magic show. And that show literally blew my mind in terms of the potential of black business. I mean, literally, it opened my mind up. I was like a child in a candy store. I mean, I just freely walked up to Russell Simmons and had a 30-minute long conversation with this man. And to be able to do that was mind-boggling. Him and introduce Sean Puffy Combs to a young lady that I met at the show, and Damian Dash and comedians. Brian McKnight went to a party with the Rockefeller when Jay-Z was a part of Rockefeller. I mean, so this all happened my very first trade show. And so I continued to go back to Vegas for different trade shows, different genres of business. And each genre that I attended, it was mind-boggling, for different industries. I was like, man. And I saw something last year, it really hit me, along with my partner had been telling me for the last 4 or 5 years, Rob, you really got something, man. You got something that most of your constituents don't have. And you really need to be in Vegas to make something out of it. And last year, BIB was born from the backseat of an Audi A8 automobile, created BIB Blacks in Business, and the premise of that idea was to aid and assist black businesses to success by way of putting them in contact with manufacturers, real-time information as it happens. So God gave me a vision to do that. I wind up moving back to St. Louis because I kind of left a lot of I's undotted and T's uncrossed here, but I just needed to get away. But when I came back, got some money, was able to get my children back together, and now I am at that point to where it's time to actually go and fulfill my own dream, and we have done so much together, you and I, with BIB Blacks in Business, and I think we both have a passion to help our people to become winners and to see them win. And it's just time. I'm not anybody that knows me when they come down to the flea market. They know I have stamped my name on that. They automatically know. I knew that this is what they say. I knew this was your business. So I have proven to myself that I don't have to do this, what I'm doing in retail anymore. I've grown up beyond this. I need to go and help other black men and women become successful and give them the information that I have acquired over the years. And CC, I'm looking so forward with the whole ideal of you accompanying me in this journey, because you are one dynamic infopreneur.
Oh, that is so sweet. I'm looking forward to the journey too. Like I say all the time now, I am a citizen of the world, and I hope you will join my membership, because I don't think we belong in one place. We should be definitely traveling at this time. So,
yes.
But let's put a bookmark in that, because we definitely need to let the people know what the show is about tonight, because our second guest is actually on hold there. She's listening in. Hi, Sherry. Her hour is in the 8 o'clock hour, 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, where she will come on and talk with us. But let me read our promo. So BIB Radio, and the show is called Rising from Governmental Pitfalls. And in the first hour, many of our people can attest to their lives being destroyed by, quote, big government and the powers that be. Brother Rahim is a resident of Illinois and a proud business owner. Listen as he shares with us how he has overcome prison, drugs, addiction, and other pitfalls by becoming a college graduate, beauty supply owner, mentor, and public speaker. And then his website is rahimsbeautysupply.com. Second hour, we have been fooled into fearing fake laws enforced by the IRS. What if I told you that there is no law that says you must pay taxes? Join us February 23rd, 2017 for BIB Radio with Brother Robert 11X and CC Harry, where we will speak with Miss Sherry Peel Jackson, a former IRS enrolled agent, speaker, business consultant, and author. In her books, How to Stick It to the IRS, Confessions from an Insider, and How to Escape the Rat Race, 4 Keys to Acquire the Life of Your Dreams. The information Miss Peel Jackson will reveal will make you second guess every tax return that you have ever filed, question what you thought you knew, and as an informed citizen, stand up for your rights. Learn how she was able to create a business after she was sentenced to 4 years in prison for telling the truth about the IRS. And in the flyer, we have the links to some of her information. And let's see. And you could follow her YouTube channel there. And we will also be joined by David Wren of Tando Radio. He will join us for this episode because this is his stuff, talking about corrupt governmental, issues. And I see we have Brother Davis on the line. Brother Davis, feel free to chime in anytime you'd like. Welcome to BIB Radio. So our first guest, Mr. Rahim, I met him down at the flea market. It was so fluky how I met him because I go around and I talk to everybody. That's how I become an infopreneur, because I talk to everybody. But he was at the cafeteria and he was just kind of griping and complaining. I'm not going to say what he was talking about because it's truly like a business issue, and I don't ever want to get him in trouble for what he was talking about. But I piped in because I got a solution, So I was talking to him and just thought I was just talking to some whatever person. You never know who you're talking to. So I ended up talking to this brother. Found out he owns a beauty supply. He was in prison. He used to be on drugs, and he's a college graduate. I was like, oh wow, you are prime meat for my show. When can I get you on? So he's been doing a couple speaking engagements. So I wasn't readily able to get him on immediately, but he's now supposed to be here with us tonight. So I know he's busy in his business and he should be closing up now. Scotty, if you are listening, we may need to give him a call from here if that's a possibility, because I don't see where he's called in yet. Brother Rahim, if you are there, press ** so that we'll know that you're there. But I think we just probably need to give him a call because, again, at this time, I know he's just closed his shop. And he may have forgotten.
Yes, Sister
so
CC.
No big deal.
Sister CC, the little man, the little symbol of the man with the plus symbol right next to the record button, click on that. You can enter into a phone number and check the button to have the system call out to him. That's how that works.
Where is the little man? I don't see a man or...
Oh man!
I don't have any of that.
Well, you're not seeing the same controls I have because I'm the master account. So my bad. So you don't have all the same controls. If you could shoot me his number in the email, I'll be happy to do that for you.
Sounds good. Don't freak me out about the technology. I just got up on this darn Uber conference and everything's good. So I was like, oh, goodness, I don't see a little man. But no problem. Yes, I will definitely send over his number so we can call him and hopefully he is available. But yeah, Robert, go ahead and continue talking to us about the trade show, if you would, so we can get this all wrapped up.
Yeah, well, just simply as I was saying, our mission is to, at BIB Blacks in Business, is to help our people, black entrepreneurs and those that are aspiring to become entrepreneurs, be successful at doing so. And the only way you can do that is by having the correct information by way of dealing with the manufacturer, cutting out the middleman, doing as little renting property as possible, and actually owning the real estate, and we have a way that I buy real estate that is non-conventional. I don't deal with the banks nor the agents. So that's something that we also teach at BIB Blacks in Business. So those things, when you have those two items in play, you own the real estate, you dealing directly with the manufacturer, there's no way you can't win. I mean, the only way that you won't win is if you have poor habits as a person. You spend your money at the club. You want to have 2 and 3 girlfriends or boyfriends, and you want to ride the fanciest of cars. That you're not going to win like that. Business.
I have a question for you, real quick. I mean, I know I can ask you anytime, but maybe other people are wondering, so I'll ask you now. So, we're talking about moving to Vegas and all this, and, we don't have a current residency there or anything like that. And this may be a question for Sherry, too, because now that I know about this tax situation, and it's not actually illegal to not, it's not a law that we have to pay taxes. I'm wondering, is it ever beneficial to rent versus, buy? Even like you teach to buy, is it ever a benefit to just go ahead and rent this property out? Normally I'd be like, oh, okay, well, it's a tax write-off. But I mean, a lot of things are a tax write-off. But then do we even need to worry about tax write-offs? I mean, I'm just like in a whole nother thought process now. So back to my question, I guess, when would it be okay to rent?
Well, that's taxes and your plan. Those are two different things, purposes or causes, if you're renting for a tax write-off or whatever. But for me, I would say renting is okay if you know why you're renting. For instance, the guy that taught me how to buy real estate, he's actually renting an apartment. But what he told me was this right here. My daily operating expense is only $30 a day. Now, no, I take that back. It's less than $30 a day because I know his rent, and he doesn't have those habits. So we're talking something less than $20 a day for him. With the bills, it's right around $20 a day, about $600 a month. Now, for him, and the lesson that I'm saying is, with most people, we don't look at the mathematics of our life. And if you really got into the mathematics of your own life, then you would be concerned with your daily operating expense, which is you add your bills up, gas, electric, cell phone, mortgage, rent, and that number tells you exactly about, and you take that and you divide it by 30, then that number tells you exactly what it costs you daily to operate. And then that number, it gives you a clear sense of being, knowing that this number is what I need to be able to make every day to exist in my current situation. Normally, when you do that, that number is so low that it really your mind gets to, it automatically goes to, oh, this is nothing to accomplish. But when you don't know your daily operating expense, it's kind of like you just live in 30 days in at a time, and you wait till the last moment and you get the money off the last paycheck or whatever, or you wait till that last week of the month to get the money out of your business, and then you jam all that money made into paying these bills. So it disciplines you once you know your daily operating expense. So in terms of renting or buying a property, definitely there's reasons why you should own property that outweigh the reasons why you should rent. But definitely everything is mathematical. If you're renting, it should be I'm renting because my daily operating expense is this, and it could put me ahead of the game in this amount of time. But ultimately, you need to own real estate no matter what. I just posted on Facebook that, you're going to have a lot of the gurus, financial gurus, that's going to suggest that you invest in stocks, 401ks, do trading, this, that, and the other. But the best products that I can think of come from the earth, and that is land, real estate, and precious metals. That was my post. So definitely, if you know where you're going, and you need to know where you're going, and you need to know how you're going to get there, that determines whether you should rent or you should own. We rent a booth at a flea market. We got the best real estate in the flea market, though. I'm at the front door. I see people coming, and I see them going.
Uh-oh. I hear something. That? I don't know. I'm confused.
Yeah. So with that being said, my rent at this location is not a bad idea. Yes, I would love to buy the whole flea market, though.
Right.
And if I ever get a chance to talk to the guy that owns it, because they're not allowing me access to him. So, but nevertheless, if I ever did, that would be my only conversation with him. How much do you want to sell the whole building for? But until then, I'll settle for the best real estate that the flea market has to offer and make the money that I'm making, and I'm cool with that. So there's a reason for everything that you do. It should be a reason for it, a why, and it should all be mathematical.
Well, that's an excellent answer. I think we may have a question. Brother Davis, are you raising your hand?
Good evening, Sister CC, and your guest. I was listening to you, and, we just made a major land purchase in our family. And I found out that there's a lot entailed in the original purchase, and we paid cash, so we bought it outright. And we're putting the nuances in, high tunnels and that sort of thing, so we can start planning. Our vision is a organic nursery where we can literally supply fresh fruits and vegetables to the local community, as well as grocery stores, and manufacturing, to specialty restaurants. But I'm finding out that in reference to land, there are people who lease land and do the same thing. And the nuance is that literally they're paying a small portion of their profits to sustain the land, but yet they're making large profits because of what the land yields. So it depends on the level of mindset and, should I say, area of specialty that you're working in that would allow you to make a very well-balanced decision on renting, owning, or leasing. I just wanted to add that real quick, and I'm enjoying your show.
All right. Well, we thank you for that input. Robert, what do you think about what Brother Davis said?
Yeah, it's right in line with what I'm saying. You gotta know why, and it's got to be a mathematical decision why you should rent or why you should own. And for me, if it's going to be in the green, if my books are in the green, I'll rent it if I can't buy it. But if my main goal is to buy it, and that's always great for me. I want to control it, more so than anything else. It's just, and that's a lot of times people want to say it's mine and put your name on it. Well, that's not the best ideal in my opinion. Control over a thing is better than stamping your name on it, because if you just stamp your name on it, people, and you don't do a corporation, then anything that happens within that property line that you own, you are liable for it. So, you set it up in a corporation, you have control over it. And, if somebody said to me, hey, Robert, you can use this building for a lifetime, and we can put that on paper, I'd do it like that. But definitely, yeah, I agree with what he just said. It just depends on what it is that you're going to do that determines how you should approach a thing, And you don't know that right away. That's something that if you don't have a mentor or somebody that's more educated than you, or when it comes to real estate, then you just won't know that. But listening to BIB Blacks in Business Radio, like what you're doing right now, this is the kind of conversation we normally have when it comes to these type of subjects. Then you are able to reach out and ask us personal questions about business, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. If we can't answer your questions, honestly, we'll tell you, but we can get answers to your questions. So, yes, just keep tuning in to us. If you have any questions regarding real estate, regarding entrepreneurship, stay tuned with us or reach out to us, and we'll try to help you.
Right. Well, it may sound like we're fluffing along here, but we're not. We're actually having the conversation that we normally have for those of you that are new listeners.
I'd like to add to what he just said in reference to incorporating. Me and my brothers and sisters all got together and made this purchase, and then we incorporated under the Davis Family Farm descendant. Now, why we did that is because we wanted it to extend beyond 2, 3, maybe 4 generations. But if we put that in there in the beginning, that's less problems they will have down the line when it comes into understanding how they fit into the family role. Because we add descendants, it allows them to take the position of transformation. In other words, if I age out, or when we age out, the next generation can come in and literally only thing they change is the officers, because basically the bylaws of the LLC is in place. So that makes a lot of sense, and we did some due diligence on that in order to be able to utilize, or should I say, maximize our dollar investment. So it makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to add that also.
Yeah, and as long as write that into the bylaws of that LLC, that's exactly how it'll go down. You know, hello? Hello?
I'm here.
I'm listening, brother. I'm sorry. I mute myself in between because there are background noises where I am, but I didn't want to interfere with your show. But thank you. I appreciate your agreement, as well as it literally affirms the decisions that we were making along the way with also good legal counsel. So I identify. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes. That's a great thing you guys got going on there. I mean, man, that's what we were just talking about earlier today too. In our relocation to Vegas, we're looking for land to actually be able to grow our own food on. You know, I got sick last night from something that I ate, and I've never felt the pain that I felt, and so you know, I almost when you get to a point where you can't help yourself, all kind of thoughts run through your mind, and so we did. CC, the infopreneur, did some homework today before we made our mind to actually transition to Las Vegas. She Googled, you know, to see if we could actually have a farm or be able to grow food in Vegas, and come to find out that they have some farms in Vegas. So one of our plans is to definitely go there and find a piece of property with an acre or two, and we can grow our own vegetables, you know, and eat off our own land, because we shop at Whole Foods and, you know, all these, you know, organic stores, but that's where we buy our food from, and I wind up getting sick. So last night just really showed me, hey, you know, we have to grow our own foods. We have to be the ones that feed ourselves, and it also encouraged the whole notion of let's go. And because and with that, what made that happen was, you know, when you think death is knocking on your door, you know, my mind was like, hey man, I only got one life to live, and those things that I know I want to do and should be doing, I don't want to live a life of regrets and saying, hey, I didn't do this when I had the opportunity. And last night, being in that pain, woke up this morning and I was feeling much better, but my whole thinking was different. And I was like, okay, we're going. And I put my business up for sale, all my vehicles. I mean, I didn't even check with my wife. I just said, hey, we going. And she was like,
wait. I forgot to ask you. Did you walk into the light?
I seen the light. You sure right. I seen the light. It really opened my eyes. I seen the light, right. Not that light that they tell you on TV, but I seen the light. It's like, no, it's time to live your dreams. You know,
right.
Let nothing hold you back. Don't be afraid. Go for it. You only have one life. So go for it. If you feel that's what you want to be doing, then do it. You know, nothing stupid, but just live it. Live it to where you don't have regrets, and to where you feel self-assured, self-confident about everything that you've done, self-accomplished, and that's all that matters, you know. And so that's
right.
I mean, the decision was made today. I mean, you didn't even realize I had to tell you after the fact. You were like, dang, the business is up for sale. Everything. It's time to go.
Well, my car was up for sale yesterday, and I didn't even know. I had to find out on Facebook. I'm like, wait a minute. What's going on here? Well, wait a minute. Let me interject here really quick, you guys. It sounds like we're just doing mindless fluff, but we're not. We're waiting for Brother Rahim to call in. He had some car trouble, and so he says he's going to be calling in a matter of moments. Unfortunately, that'll cut his time short, but it's okay. We can always have him back on. But as usual, we are giving you relevant information. We're here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is BIB Radio. We're on Black Talk Radio Network. Please support Black Talk Media Project. You can go to blacktalkmedia.org and listen to all of our other wonderful programs that air on this station. I mean, we've got some great statistics. We've got commercial opportunities if you'd like to run a commercial ad in the network, more specifically on our station. We have opportunities to have your own radio program, podcast. You don't have to be in the dark about these things because the CEO, Mr. Scotty Reed, who is our engineer, he can walk you through these things, and you can definitely have something going on. A definite money-making tool this radio industry is. So if you'd like to learn more, please contact us at blacktalkmediaproject.org, or you can even email us at weareblacks@gmail.com. And we look forward to talking to you soon about your broadcasting endeavors. So again, we're waiting for Brother Rahim to call in to talk to us about his beauty supply business and his life struggle with governmental issues. Prison is a governmental issue to me. I mean, all these big things that happen to us, are governmental issues. And then Sherry Jackson's going to come on in the second hour. She's going to talk to us about her issue with the government, which was the IRS. She found out that, you really didn't have to file taxes, and they kind of attacked her after that. We listened to her YouTube video just kind of out of the blue, like, how YouTube just throws stuff at you or whatever. I was looking up something else, and then Sherry's video popped on, and I was like, oh, I'm all in. Let me find this lady. So I found her, and she was agreeable to come on the show. So she's there waiting in the wings for her turn. She's in the green room. We'll call it that. Right. Waiting for it. Right. She's in the green room waiting for her turn. But yes, so that's what the show is about today. And Brother Robert is talking about trade shows. That's his specialty. If you all would like to find out more about trade shows, he's definitely open to consultation. And when I say consultation, you know what that means. Consultation is not necessarily free. So contact us so you can find out what that is, what that looks like. But again, you can email us at weareblacksinbusiness@gmail.com. Okay, while we're still waiting for Brother Rahim, I don't know exactly what time he's going to come on, but we're going to keep on going. We may have to reschedule him, unfortunately, but yes. So back to the situation at hand, like, what we have going on here. Like Brother Robert was saying, everybody, you only live once, and somebody said if you do it right, you don't have to do it again, or something like that. And that's so true. That's so true. I mean, I was thinking earlier, a lot of us have grown up in, sort of unstable homes or whatever, and you can kind of look at the things that your parents did, and I'm not going to say they made mistakes, because whatever they did may have catapulted you into a wonderful situation today. But you can definitely look at the things that they did and decide not to do them or to do them differently. For me, we did a lot of moving around. I don't mind moving around. That's not a problem for me. But what I don't like to do is go backwards. For instance, I moved here from Washington State. Okay. Let's say I didn't like St. Louis, and, I just didn't like it. Well, my plan is to never move back to Washington State. Does that mean I won't visit? No. But how can you move forward in life if you keep moving backwards? Robert and I had this conversation today. There are many places that you can go in this whole world. Forget the United States, in this whole world. But you have to do some research, because everywhere you go, you should be able to be an entrepreneur. I've started listening to, what's this guy's name I'm listening to? Mr. Nightingale. Earl Nightingale. Yes, he's like my friend right now, Earl Nightingale. I listen to him every day. And he talks about these things, talks about moving forward, and talks about your own mind being the blockage in being successful in business. And we have to really, really, really do some soul searching and figure out what it is that we should be doing in business, instead of following trends and these type of things. Figure out what it is that you should be doing in business, so that you can take that anywhere that you go. For me, again, I'm a citizen of the world. I don't want to be in one place at any time. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to experience different cultures. Definitely want to go to the continent of Africa, for those of you that for some reason think Africa is a country. I don't know where you've been, but I want to go to the continent of Africa and visit several countries. So with that being said, just do some soul searching. Start, using, the internet for research, so you can find out about different places that you might like to go. And then start traveling, start taking time off from your life to build a different life. I mean, if that's what you want to do. If you're happy where you are, then don't do any of this that I'm talking about. But if you're not happy about your life and where you are entrepreneurially, you are the one that can make that change. And I would say, listen to some Earl Nightingale. I'm going to post Earl Nightingale on the BIB Radio Facebook page, so that you all can kind of get a gist of what I'm talking about with Earl Nightingale. Anyway, Robert, what do you have to add to that?
That Earl Nightingale is on point. That definitely is on point. You guys got to really, if you want some motivation and some inspiration, that is just one of many that I would recommend. Robert Kiyosaki, Earl Nightingale, there's so many, guys like that, and women too.
Les Brown, Lisa Nichols. I mean, there's a lot of people that have great motivational information for you. Shoot, Sherry Jackson Peel, we have here on the show. She is getting her thing going. You guys need to look her up on YouTube and find out what she has available, because no, it's Peel Jackson. Excuse me, Sherry, I'm so sorry. But yes, she has great information available too. Just wherever you can get some insight and motivation entrepreneurially, you need to do that. Because how many of us left a job so that we could do what we want to do, but then now that we are where we want to be, we're alone. Like, we don't have any type of people to dialogue with, or you're not really getting other information. You're not growing. You're just kind of stuck. You traded in a job for a job that you own, and that's not really a good thing. I mean, it's not a good thing. You definitely need opportunity. Go ahead.
Opportunity. I'll finish that up for you. You definitely need opportunity.
Oh, wait. We see that our listener is, our guest is there. Brother Rahim, we're going to get you on in just a second. Robert, finish your thought. Go ahead.
I was just about to say, with Sherry, and I'm so excited to have her on. See, she's not just someone who has picked up a book and studied the book and then decided to tell people about what she's read and studied about the IRS. She actually worked in that that company. She actually
that arena.
IRS. So this insight that she has is coming from inside information. So this is a very, very, very informative part of the show that the listening audience is going to get. I mean, I'm already wowed by looking at her YouTube videos, and it's just the information that you just got to know, So
yes, and you know what? You're right, because it's funny. Like, that's what we do. We get information. But one of the clients at the flea market, the tall guy that came in and I shared the information with him, he came back today and he was blown away. He said, I just finished watching her video. That's some serious stuff people need to know about. I said, absolutely. Absolutely. And you make sure that you share it. So listen, let's go ahead without further ado. Invite Brother Rahim on because, my goodness, he doesn't even have that much time. But let's let him on. Hold on. Hello, Brother Rahim. Welcome to BIB Radio.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Yes, sir. So tell us a little bit about yourself, sir. How did you become an entrepreneur?
Yeah, excuse me for being an entrepreneur. I apologize for being late. That's what I was doing. I ran into some merchandise at the Goodwill store, and it's something that I needed for my stores for earrings. And it's in these display cases, they're worth $200 and $300. I mean, they're heavy. Well, anyway, I was able to get them for $40 a piece. Even though I tried to get them cheaper, but they wouldn't go for it. But I was able to get two, and it's another young man that's down the street. He's like a protege. He's starting business. He started his business up. I'm gonna tell him about these cases. These are for earrings or earrings. I'm gonna use mine for eyelashes. But I own a beauty supply store, and it's in Carbondale, Illinois. It's called Rahim's Beauty Supply Store, and you know it's something that I kind of in reading. I was reading the Ebony back in 2006. So anyway, they were saying who control the hair, the hair industry. Who controls it? Mm-hmm. You know, and then the article went on and said that the Koreans did, and the guy who's the sponsor of the author of the article, he was a Jewish guy. And he was, or at least he wasn't a Jewish guy. It was a sister who was the author, but they quoted this Jewish guy, and he was because a lot of his comments in her article was that this is ludicrous, this is insane. Here it is. Here's an industry that is basically used 99% of its customers are African American, but they do not control any of the money that you know from manufacturing, from distribution, from wholesale, all the way to retail. No African American, only Koreans. And I'm looking at that, and then as I read on, they said that this industry that is predominantly or this market is predominantly supported by African American dollars. The amount of money is made is close to 40 to 50. Get this, 40 to 50 billion a year industry. 40 to 50 billion a year, and you're not. And African Americans, all they do is buy the product. You know, I would think that Madam C. Walker is probably rolling around her grave right now, you know. But you can't but you can't hate the. But my thing was, you don't hate or dislike the Koreans. When I decided to go into I was going to open a clothing store, and then I changed my mind after reading that article, and I didn't know anything about hair, nothing. So I'm just fortunate, like I was telling you, CC. I was a drug addict, I'm from Chicago South Side, 63rd and Cottage Grove. That's where I started, the gang banging and the hustling. Basically, I never really into gang banging. I was just into money, but ended up getting caught up in the vices that I was a part of, and it become a long career drug addict, and everything that went along with it. The penitentiaries, the gunshots, the beatings, the stealing, and all the other sad commentary that goes with that life. But by the grace of God, I had a mother that I'm a Muslim. And I had a mother, and I tell a lot of Christians, I say, what you're looking at here is a product of my mother's Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And they get, they say, what? I said, yes. My mother, you know, she understood where I was going. My mother's a single parent, and she had 24 years old. She had 4 kids, and my father was murdered. And so the streets just raised me. I graduated from the alleys to the streets, so to speak. That's where I was raised, and I ended up running into a lot of the subcultures of the streets. You know, the drugs, the burglaries, the burglary gangs, the thieves. I mean, everything you can name. That's what I gravitated towards. But anyway, I caught the habit and going in and out the penitentiary. And my mother, I guess her prayers were answered. I went to the penitentiary several times. Not that one time, several times. And that's when I was introduced to Islam and everything else you can imagine. But I gravitated to positive things when I was in the penitentiary. So penitentiary is like, to me, it's like my monastery. It was like a monastery, more so than a correctional or something. But it was something that helped me tremendously in every aspect of my life, which I didn't get from home. But anyway, while I was there was a brother named Aziz. And Aziz, after Muslim services, Aziz used to have business classes. And he said he had been locked up for about 28 years. And he said one thing he noticed, his brothers would go in and out the penitentiary. And in going in and out the penitentiary, he understood that it was after one thing. The majority of them were, and that was money. And so he said, I would ask him questions like I'm asking you all. He says, this system that we live in, what is it called? And do you know the dynamics of it? And the system that he was talking about, the economic system in this country was capitalism. And he said, do you know about capitalism? And I explained, and he said, no. Matter of fact, we didn't even answer him when he said what was the economic system that we were in. We couldn't even answer it. And he started breaking it down to us about capitalism, about this system, and how everybody else seemed to be making it, but African Americans, especially on the street level. You know, he says we have that ideal. We have a lot of ways of making money. You know, we have what we call the street hustle, or what they call it, street hustle. You know, we always provide. We always survive some way or another, but really not knowing like I said, the different components of capitalism, you know, like banking, savings, your credit, investments, you know, stock markets and stuff like we just, how we come together and put together conglomerations, you know, of groups, you know, as I see right now what he was talking about. You know, like over in Japan, you know, you got Mitsubishi, you know, and they got some, it's just a conglomeration of clans over there. The Arabs do it, the Pakistanians do it. You know, everybody has their clans. You know, where they put their business minds together, and everybody works towards the benefit of the group or the organization. But we just don't have that. But I'm looking at that. I'm looking and studying with him. But I had to learn what I needed to learn. And so when I came up out of that penitentiary, I was quite ready. When I got out, I came straight to Carbondale, Illinois, and I didn't have a place to stay. And where I stayed was at a homeless shelter called it was Good Samaritan food banquet. It's food bank and homelessness. And I went in and I explained to them that I was out of the penitentiary, and I had a sponsor, which was a brother by the name of Imam Haq. He came and I told him I was coming out of the penitentiary. I needed a place to stay. But when I was in the penitentiary, I had put my plan together. I had went to school. I knew that there was a thing called psychologist by Maslow, and he was on a hierarchy of needs. And I studied Maslow. And for that first level, he said everybody has to have these basic needs. And I understood that. When I got out, I knew I needed a job. I needed a place to stay. I knew I needed food. I knew I needed, all these things. And so in order to get a job, I looked at my past record. I'm been going in and out of the penitentiary for quite a few years, within 20 years, quite a few times. And so nobody was going to hire me I didn't even have a job. I didn't even have a trade. So I started working, going to school. The penitentiaries here had a lot of vocational programs and academic programs. And I put my plan together. I knew where I was going, and I knew the market that was down here was SIU. So I took up culinary art, so I can go in a fast food joint. I took up, got my sanitation license. I took up building maintenance, where I know the kids, because it's the student campus. So I know students who want to set up, apartments and stuff. So I was able to do basic electrical work, floor cleaning, plumbing, so I got a certificate in that. Took my EMT classes. I finished my EMT and some other classes too. I was blessed to take. But when I got out, I also put a resume together. I put a resume together, and I understood the business and everything. So when I got out, the program that I applied for, Good Samaritan, they had a counselor there, and I explained to him what was part of my plan. And the first thing I wanted to do was just get a job. So my vocational training kicked in, and with the vocational training, I was able to get a job. And eventually, about a year and a half, I was able to get my own place. But the blessing thing about that was when I went working for someone who was cleaning up some apartments for the following semester, and I was working part time, then full time. But when the manager came on, they kept part of the people. I was one of the people they kept, and since I had that training, they gave me my own building. It was a complex. So they gave me my own building to manage and to keep up, and I had free utilities and free rent. So,
hold on, Brother Rahim. Let's take a little pause. We're going to have a commercial break in a second, but I wanted to know if Brother Robert had any questions for you, because we kind of gone through the timeline of the streets, the alleys, and the drugs, and the penitentiary, and now you're out. You got your own building. So, Robert, you have any questions for him?
Yeah, in reference to the actual business itself, do we need to go to a commercial right now or what?
Nope, we have a few minutes. So what you can do is ask, and we'll get along as we can, and then we'll kind of segue over a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I got you. So here, I'm cutting right through for time's sake. What I want to know for the listening audience, you spoke on the lack of blacks being in the hair care business. Now, on the wholesale side of it, dealing with manufacturers, how is that? Have you been successful at that? And if so, please tell us how. And if not, please tell us why not.
Yes, it's been a slow process, and getting into the wholesale aspect of it. And I have been fortunate. Like I mentioned at one point that I just didn't know anything about the hair. A Korean lady gave me a book, and in that book was suppliers' names, numbers, and their addresses. So what I did, I got on the highway and started visiting the places, and I went to Atlanta, I went to Chicago, I went to New York, and visit a lot of these hair places like Bobby Boss, Model, Outre, Zuri. These are the main ones, and they have a lot. It has so many. I have so many companies out there. It is pathetic. I mean, you can imagine, and all of them is ran by Koreans. But anyway, to break back to get into the business, one of the companies in Skokie, in Niles, not Skokie, but Niles, Illinois. Out of that book, I went to visit them, and they gave me an application to fill out, and she asked me what kind of hair I wanted. I didn't even know, and she said, "You don't know anything about hair?" She said no, but anyway, she gave me a crash course there, and then I started visiting other places. Even though I was getting some hair, I wasn't getting the main hair. But what I found out, like the popular hair, the one that was really selling, like Milky Way and Outre and Bobby Boss. I finally got into Bobby Boss. what they would do if you was to call in and ask for an application, they would deny you. They would deny you an application with the excuse of that someone there's another store in the vicinity, so therefore their policy is if there's one store about so many blocks or miles away from you, they don't give you an application. They won't give you a line.
We're talking about wholesalers. Is that those
wholesale?
Are the people?
That's what.
Wholesalers.
Those are wholesalers. These are Koreans. Yes, these are the wholesalers. Now, how was that?
Let me ask you.
Now, how I was able to?
Let me ask you this question. So, now, how long have you been in the hair business?
2009.
2009. Okay, so now, what, or have you been able to actually deal and communicate with any of the manufacturers of these products that black people buy all the time?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Manufacturers, not the wholesalers.
The manufacturers. No, the only time now since I've been in quite a while, I've made inroads. You know, I've made contacts, but no, the wholesale. Now the only manufacturers and all the manufacturers is in China, but the main manufacturers I didn't contact now are what they call bundles. You can buy your own bundles now, and I'm dealing with that. I get a big order dealing with the bundles, and the bundles is very hair. And this is I'm gonna say it's cheaper, but it's convenient, and that's what everybody's buying now.
So I guess there's some discrimination because you in the business that you're in. I mean, normal, you know, when you deal with the business, you should be able to deal with the manufacturer. But from what I understand, because I watched a documentary by a man named Aaron Rainin, he talked about the trouble with being able to connect directly with the manufacturer, like there was some sort of blockage there. But in that, I know that Mr. What's his name? Mr. Robinson. I can't think of his name. Devin Robinson. Lord, forgive me. Devin Robinson. Oh, my God. Devin Robinson has been able to make some breakthroughs in that, and he goes around the country helping people open up their beauty supply stores. Really? So he's made some sort of breakthrough there. So let's just kind of fast forward for the sake of time. Now, how is the business going for you, Brother Rahim?
Oh, the business is going quite well, and that's what I was going to, with me being persistent. It's not so much as the manufacturer. As you want to be the manufacturer, you got to go over there in China. And then I guess that's what that brother did. Those are the ones who make it. They don't make it anywhere else but China. But it's the the wholesalers, and the wholesalers are those names that I named. But they'll put a block on it. And and I don't blame the Koreans. You know, they opened up their business now. They wanted to monopolize it. You know, they want to control it. He said, we let it get away from us. And so I sit back and I look and see how well they take care of theirs, you know, as far as letting. A lot of times I went in and asked for things, they would lie to me. They wouldn't help me. But there were some Koreans that would, like the lady who gave me that page where I was able to go out and visit these companies. Now, there's another kid on the block. See, I'm a Muslim. And this other kid on the block is basically let me in. They got my hair. They brought my hair for me. The hair that they know, they like Indy Remy and Altre and other hair. The new kids on the block is the Arabs. The Arabs has taken over neighborhoods like in Detroit. You know, they have whole communities now. They have hula shops and other things. You know, they have the beauty supply stores. My connection was in East St. Louis when they had this whole strip on East St. Louis called State Street, and you have about 4 or 5 Arab brothers that sell hair. And I introduced myself, And I explained to them what I was doing, and I told them about the obstacles that I was running into, and they helped me. Matter of fact, they have their own conglomerate where they come together and they go to the manufacturer, and where they can buy bulks. Me, if I go to Jennings or PK's or a New Fashion, these are middlemen or Koreans, and I'll go to them. I buy one box. That's about all I can buy. Box of 4 or 5 boxes or whatever. But these brothers and the Koreans, they come together and go to the manufacturers, and they come out with trainloads or truckloads. That's how it's done. We don't have that. We don't have that. We don't have that many people.
I got one question, and we're gonna have to go. One question.
Let's hold on. No question right now. Let's take our commercial break, and we'll bring Brother Rahim back really quick. You're listening to BIB Radio on Black Talk Radio Network. We'll be back after these messages.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
Black Talk Radio since 2008, providing new black media for the masses.
All right, everybody, we're back. This is BIB Radio. You're listening to us on Black Talk Radio Network. Support blacktalkmediaproject.org. Feel free to visit that site and learn how to support this network. Black radio is everything to us. This is the way that we get the correct information about our people. Okay, so we're back with Brother Rahim. He is out of Carbondale, Illinois. He has his own beauty supply shop. He has worked his way from the streets to the alley to school. Wait, no. Let's see. Wait, how can we put this together? From the streets to the alley to the prison.
From the alley to the street.
From the alley to the street. Okay, the alley to the streets, and then whatever. So he has worked his way up from the bottom to the top. Now he is his own supply shop. Now, what we need to do is let Brother Robert ask his question. Go ahead.
Okay, so in closing, have you attended or found out about any trade shows in this industry that you're in?
Oh, yes. They have, it's a booklet. I was able to get this booklet. Like the Koreans, they communicate with catalogs, and all of it's written in Korean, so I couldn't read Korean. But there was one book called B&B. It wrote Korean and English. And they would tell about the trade shows. As a matter of fact, they'll send you a book, a directory of all the trade shows. Yes, you're talking about from Atlanta to Las Vegas, Yes, so I've been giving all that information. And there was another brother, and there's another thing, too. There's another brother in Chicago on 87th and Vincennes named Sam. A lady told me about him in another Korean store. I said, there's any African-American beauty supply store? He was the only one. I went to him, and he was instrumental in a lot of my contacts here, and I'm still in touch with him. And there since then there have other stores like in St. Louis that's opened up. It's called Queen's Beauty Supply. It's in St. Louis. It's supposed to be African American owned. And, one in Cairo, Illinois. Anytime I hear about an African American store that's being opened up in this vicinity, I try to visit them. But to answer your question, yes, the trade shows, they send me catalogs where the trade shows is going to be and who's going to be there. When I visit the supply stores, the Korean supply stores, they always have posters there, pertaining to. Now, there's another thing, like I think the sister mentioned, there is somebody that you do need someone that can sit down. If you plan on opening up a beauty supply store, you need someone to sit down and really go through the logistics. You hear me? Because you need it. My only regret, I wished I had to work for a Korean for about a year or two before I jumped into it.
Well, Brother Rahim, unfortunately, we have got to go ahead and allow you to tell people how they can get in touch with you if they want more information, if they need some sort of guidance concerning the beauty industry, you can send them to your site or give them your phone number, whatever you need to do, so that we can make sure that they can connect with you, because this is a show about entrepreneurs and aiding and assisting them into success. So go ahead.
Okay. Another thing is your finances. Because people come into the store and say, well, I want a beauty supply store. I ask them, I say, you got 50. Well, you need two things. You need a location, and you need a lot of money. Or do you have a good credit?
Brother Rahim?
Right.
Brother Rahim?
Yes.
No, they can talk to you about that later when they do a consultation with you, but we have to let you go ahead and let them know how to get a hold of you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Rahim's Beauty Supply. My cell phone number is 618-203-2249, and my business number is at the store. It is 618-529-1222. My address, the address of the store is 110 East Oak. That's O-A-K, O-A-K Street, Oak Street, Carbondale, Illinois. 62901.
Well, Brother Rahim, we thank you for joining us today. Listeners, reach out to Brother Rahim if you want to know the logistics of opening a beauty supply, or if you're getting out of prison and you would like some sort of guidance on how to get into any kind of business, or how to go to college or whatever. Brother Rahim can definitely help you with that. Sir, we thank you so much for joining us on BIB Radio. Feel free to sit back and listen if you like to our next guest. I'm pretty sure this is information that you may need. If you're not able to do so, we can definitely make sure that you get the podcast of the information so you can listen later, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody, that was Brother Rahim, and he is out of Carbondale, Illinois, and his shop is called Rahim's Beauty Supply. But we must move forward to our guest, Miss Sherry. She's on hold, so let's get her on right away. Hello, Miss Sherry. How are you?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me on your show.
Okay. Well, we are so excited. Robert and I were so excited to get this DVD player that had streaming on it. And one of the first things we saw was you on YouTube talking to us about the IRS and the different situations surrounding that. So let's kind of backtrack a little bit. Okay, so where did your entrepreneurial journey begin? Let's start there.
Both my parents are entrepreneurs, even to this day. My father has an industrial machine shop, and my mother is a hustlepreneur. She does just about everything. So when I was a child, I knew that I wasn't going to be tethered to a job. So that's where it really got started. And I did do the normal things that people do, get good grades, get a good job, and all that stuff. But, you know, I always had these thoughts about me being an entrepreneur. So I quit my final job in 1995 and started my business, and have been an entrepreneur since then.
Wow, that is excellent. That's wonderful that your parents were able to plant that seed early. And like you said, your mother's a hustlepreneur. I can relate to the hustlepreneur, you know, because we have to do that. We have to do that sometimes. That's great. So, of course, we have you on the show today because we heard you on the YouTube talking about you being an actual enrolled agent and getting all kind of awards from the IRS for the tremendous work that you were doing. You work for the fraud unit, from what I understand. So kind of take us from that point.
Okay, an enrolled agent is somebody that is not an IRS employee. An enrolled agent just takes some classes and has the ability to prepare tax returns. I was an IRS agent, an internal revenue agent, working for the insidious representatives of Satan.
Okay.
I went out and audited individuals with jobs and businesses. Started out with small mom and pop businesses and went all the way up to corporations.
Okay.
Took that job in 1988 after having worked for CPA firms and for corporate America. CPA firms, a lot of stress involved in that. Corporate America, a lot of politics going on. So usually, and I know your listeners probably know, in corporate America, it's not about what you know. It's about who you know and what you do with who you know. And I knew that I was not going to excel in corporate America, being, first of all, black, and second, a woman. So I decided to get out of corporate America. One of the things that my parents taught me is, if you don't like where you are at point A, don't complain, go to point B. So I was not allowed to complain in my home. I had to make a plan. Mm-hmm. And when the IRS job came along, I majored in accounting, had my degree in accounting. Saw this job posted in the newspaper, got the job, got hired on the spot, and worked there for 7.5 years, from 1988 to 1995. I left the IRS for personal reasons. I'm a hardline Christian, and I saw myself excelling at the IRS, but spending less time taking care of my family. You know, being a mother and a wife was getting a back seat. So I quit. Came home to be June Cleaver, decided that I didn't want to be June Cleaver, because first of all, I didn't want to be broke at home. And second of all, I'm just not the domestic type. So I started a CPA firm in my basement. One of the other things my dad said, when you get a house, make sure it has a basement so that you can do what you need to do in the basement. You can have a business in there, and if things get rough, you can rent it out. So I started my CPA firm in the basement in 1995. And when I left the IRS is when people started to approach me concerning their research or something they heard concerning the income tax being misrepresented and misapplied. I had heard about people that were called tax protesters while I was at the IRS, but a separate unit handled these people. So I'd never run across one. I'd never run across somebody that came to me and gave me proof or gave me any kind of research about the income tax not applying to people that live and work in the 50 states until I left the IRS. And it was coming from blacks, whites, rich people, poor people. So the elephant in the room kept getting bigger and bigger. And I started to work with pastors because that was what I was doing at the time. And some of the pastors started saying, you know, some of my church members are coming to tell me that they're doing some research. We're not even supposed to be the ones paying the income tax. So I said, okay, well, I may need to look into this at some point, but I didn't at that time. So one of the ministers called one day, and she says, I have a parishioner that needs to talk to you. She's heard some things, and I would like her to talk to you. Will you do that? I said, yes, I will do that. The woman that called me was Hosea Williams' daughter-in-law at the time, and for 45 minutes, Cece, she water-hosed me down with all these things that she had heard about the income tax not applying to us. And I just took it in, and I didn't dismiss it just because I had not researched it. I don't make decisions on things unless I research them. A couple of weeks later, she called me back, and she said, Miss Jackson, all that stuff I told you a couple of weeks ago is in the USA Today. So I went out and found, you know, and then they're rare around here, but one of those paper stands had the USA Today, and there was an ad in there, a group called We the People Foundation for Constitutional Education had put this ad in the USA Today, and it said, Dear We the People, the income tax is a fraud. So I started reading this full-page ad in the USA Today and came across another agent, another former IRS agent that had written a book concerning his research and that he could not find a law that required us to file and pay. So I immediately sent money for the 2 books, and we got together with another former IRS agent, and we got flown out to California to discuss this. And the next thing you know, we were in the USA Today because some people put together some money. I had 3 agents on the front page. What do these 3 people have in common? They're all former IRS agents that have discovered that the income tax doesn't apply to us because I'd done the research by that point. It took me a while to do some research. A couple of weeks, I had the IRS codes and regulations in my office, and I came to the conclusion that there was a problem. And then people ask me, Cece, what was the straw that broke the camel's back with your research concerning the IRS? And it wasn't just the IRS. It was mostly the fact that I found out that the Federal Reserve is not federal. It's no more federal than Federal Express. And they're a non-auditable private banking cartel that collects over $40 million an hour in interest from the American people.
Ooh.
And that the income tax does not go towards running the country. Ronald Reagan, whatever you think of him, put together a commission called the Grace Commission back in 1984. And this commission was to go out and figure out what was going on with the money that was collected in income tax. And their report came back and said, none of the money collected in income tax goes towards running the country. Well, what's going on with that money? It's a transfer of wealth. There's a man named Beardsley Ruml. He was the Federal Reserve Chairman back in the 1930s, and he wrote a treatise called Income Taxes for Revenue Are Obsolete. In that treatise, he explains that income taxes are just a transfer of wealth. So when I give a $10,000 check to the IRS, it doesn't go towards fixing the roads because the gas tax pays for that. It doesn't go towards paying the firemen and the policemen and the teachers because my real estate taxes pay for that. It goes to pay the interest on the false debt to the wealthy banking families that own the Federal Reserve. And they also own all of the media, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the Warbirds, and all these people.
Those powers that be that we talk about. Mm-hmm.
The powers that be that even they run the White House because all the presidents are just puppets to the power elite. The presidents are chosen not by us,
right,
but by these people. So it's like the Matrix. Mm-hmm. We are living in the Matrix, and folks like you and I, we took the red pill, and we know what's going on, and we have changed our lives to act accordingly for ourselves and our family.
You're right. Now, let me ask you this really quick. Let me interrupt you. I'm sorry, but I've got to get in here because, I mean, taxes, I just, that's one of those things that we just know. And I heard you say on another program, what are the things that we're sure of? Death and taxes. I mean, everybody does know that saying. And I mean, if you have the IRS knocking on your door in some black suits, you know you're in trouble. If they're sending you these letters, you know you're in trouble. If they're calling you, you know you're in trouble. But my question is this: what is the psychology behind people not looking into the information? You know, especially when we're talking about large scales of money that they're saying that you owe. You know, people rarely do investigation to find out. You know, who is the IRS? Why do I owe them this money? What is it going toward? You know, we just sit back and accept what it is that they hand us. Now, I know when we go shopping, we are avid shoppers. Like if I go to Walmart and I see that this pack of bread is this price, well, I'm definitely going to go to another store to see if I can get it cheaper. And we're talking about $2, $3. But when it comes to the IRS and these thousands of dollars that they say that you owe, nobody does investigation. They just sit back, accept it, get ulcers, cry, commit suicide, and all that. So my question is, what is the psychology behind us just being sheeple with these governmental agencies?
This was a plan and a program from way back. That phrase, "there's nothing sure in life but death and taxes," was made up by for lack of a better word, a marketing guru that was hired by the Rockefellers and all those. Fear has crept in to our country. When a country is fearful of the government, there's tyranny. So we have a tyrannical government at this point. People are fearful. They are afraid to be locked up. People are afraid of jail. And every time someone comes along and tells people that, hey, we're being robbed, we're being raped, then they try to slap them in jail. People are so fearful. We won't get into that now, but you have to understand, I have talked to people that have studied this. First of all, let's talk about the people that haven't studied it. The people that you approach and you tell them this and they're afraid. I've been around someone. I was talking to a woman once, and she was really interested in the information, and her colleague came along And she told them, I'm going to make up a name. Hey, Joe, guess what? This woman right here used to work for the IRS, and she's been Asian, and she's done some research and found out that we're not even liable for the income taxes. He ran. He literally ran. He did not walk away. He ran. That's the kind of fear that Americans have come up with. And I had a woman tell me, because I had 9 letters behind my name back then. You know, we'll talk about that other story later.
Right.
I had a woman. Nobody tells me. Nobody with any sense tells me you don't know what you're talking about. What they'll say, and in different words, and I'll say it like this one lady said it. I don't care what the law says. I care what the IRS will do to me. So that's basically it, CC, in a nutshell. People are afraid that if they do anything contrary to what the IRS wants them to do, they're going to come and lock you up. And that's what they do to people that are outspoken like me.
Right.
That's what they did to me.
Right. And we look
that
at
doesn't make it. That doesn't make the IRS. That does not make the income tax all of a sudden something that is legal and something that is lawful, and it's definitely not something that is moral at all.
Right. And
well, you know, I have a poster in my office right now, and it's a poster, and it has slaves on there in a cotton field.
Mm-hmm.
About 9 slaves, and one of the slaves appears to have a baby wrapped around her back. You know how in Africa they wrap the babies around so that she could be out in the field with the baby. And the caption says slavery at the top, and at the bottom it says, if stealing 100% of the product of someone's labor is slavery, at what point is it not slavery? So we have to understand that we are still slaves, because they are stealing, at least the IRS alone is stealing 20% of the product of your labor, when the definition of income is not even in the Internal Revenue Code. The definition of gross income and taxable income is in there. The definition of income is in some Supreme Court cases, and it is corporate profits. So using smaller numbers, when Walmart earns $100,000 and their expenses are $50,000, their profit is $50,000, so they pay tax on $50,000. But if you and I go out and work a job and we make $100,000, the IRS wants to tax $100,000, not all of the expenses that we go through, all of our brains. When I come and cut your grass, and you give me $100, that's an even exchange, because I've used my brain, my arms and legs, to cut your grass in a manner that it's going to look right, and that's an even exchange. You paid me $100 for my know-how and for my brawn to cut your grass. That is not anything that should be taxed, because it's not a profit involved.
Right.
So explaining things to people in that way, they do understand it better, yet they are still too fearful. And if only a handful of people are going to stand up and say, this is wrong, we're being raped, and those people, you know, go to prison, then it's going to continue like it is now.
And it's been going on for so long. So, you know, just like in relationships, I say the longer you stay in something, the harder it is to get out. And I believe that is precisely the situation we're in now, because you can invite people to learning the truth, but like you said, they run away, you know, because then what is on the other side of this truth? You know, it means that we've been duped, you know, and people don't like to think that they've been duped. And like you said, too, people don't like jail. Nobody wants to go to prison or anything like that. And so they just go ahead and follow suit and do what they feel they should do to stay out of jail or prison. Now, me personally, I remember I had stopped filing taxes because I didn't have my business anymore. And, you know, I was used to making a certain amount of money. I think at that time it was like $113 per year. And I stopped filing taxes. And so they were missing that money, right? So I was getting letters saying I owe like $64,000. And I was like, oh, my goodness, what do I do? I mean, because I just had no idea. You know, that's the worst thing in the world, to think that you owe the IRS. I mean, when do you ever pay these off? It's like the student loan people. You don't know what to do. So I was able to come out of that situation. They actually owed me, but now that I've come into your information, they owe me even more, a whole lot more.
Let me say
a whole lot more.
I mean,
go ahead. Go ahead, Robert.
Something that was profoundly simple, and it's the simplest of things that usually get ran right over and missed. When you said that the income is not, it should not be considered. This should not be considered income. You said that if I cut your grass, you want your grass cut, and I cut your grass. I had to think about it, or whatever. However you phrase that, that should not be considered income. Now, that just marinated in my thinking. As soon as you said that, I was like, wow, I never looked at it like that. Now, what is the definition of income? Again, I heard you say with Walmart and the taxable, what's taxable in terms of the profit. What should the people know income to be?
The definition of income is corporate profits. That's what it is. So the people that live and work in the 50 states that work for companies, there are a lot of things in the codes and regulations that are manipulated and twisted to make you think that you are a corporation and that you have profit. People don't know these things. And we didn't get into this yet, but yes, they were adamant about shutting me up because I'm very passionate about this, and I was speaking around the country along with the other former IRS agents, and we were pulled into Hollywood by Aaron Russo, which produced the movie called Trading Places with Eddie Murphy and The Rose with Bette Midler, to make a documentary called America, From Freedom to Fascism. After that movie came out, they'd had enough of us, and they started to prosecute us. It wasn't just me. I wasn't the only one that went to prison. People say, well, why did the black lady go to prison and the other ones didn't? No. Joe Bannister was first. He had a thinking jury, and his legal team was able to get more of his evidence into the jury. By the time they got to me, just like a football game that's not used to losing, a football team that's not used to losing, when they lose, on Monday morning, they go in and they watch the film to see why they lost. By the time they got to me, they kept shutting me down. The jury did not get to see my movie, my personal movie. They got to see Joe's, but they didn't get to see mine. It was just like a three-ring circus. So here I am. They raided my house back in 2004. They were here. They were at my house from 7:45 in the morning to 5 o'clock. They had a search warrant, and in the search warrant, which was a sealed search warrant, which was sealed until the day they came into my home, it said that they were going to find 5 felonies. Well, they were here all day. They took about 32 boxes. There were no felonies there. What they found was an African-American homeschooling family that stood up for what they believed in. So here, 2004, rolls around, 5, 6, 7, they decide, since I'm still talking and that didn't shut me up, that didn't scare me enough to shut me up, that they were going to bring me up on charges. So I was never indicted because an indictment applies to a felony. They had no felony charges against me, just misdemeanor charge of the fact that I did not file tax returns. I was keeping what was mine. And even though I had a misdemeanor charge, the definition of misdemeanor, if you look it up, Black's Law, is something that's 1 year or less. The judge gave me a 4-year sentence on a misdemeanor because they were adamant about making sure that people got the message that they weren't supposed to follow what I was doing. Because, again, remember, Joe Bannister won his case, and 3 months before my trial, Tommy Cryer, which was a lawyer from Shreveport, Louisiana, had not filed tax returns in 10 years. Tommy Cryer, 3 months before my trial, won his case with something that you may find on the internet called the memo. It's a 109-page document full of Supreme Court cases and a few regional cases. The Supreme Court is supposed to be the law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
These Supreme Court cases basically said that what people earn is not income tax, and he won his case. So they had lost two. They had 2 strikes against them. They could not lose another case. They sent people down from Washington, D.C. to prosecute me.
Wow.
They did, and they made sure that I lost. As a matter of fact, I had a lot of supporters that came to see the trial. One of them was covertly following the jury around. And he came back to my lawyer and he said, I just followed the jury, and when the bailiff led them into their room to close the door, before he closed the door, he said, if I got to pay, she got to pay.
Mm.
So this is the kind of thing that I had to deal with anyway.
Wow.
The bottom line is this, and I want to get this in before we move on. I know that 95% of the people in this country are too scared to take the stand that I took and others took. So what I like to do now is teach people how to be like Donald Trump. What do I mean by that? During the debates, and I did not listen to the debates, but I know that Hillary Clinton made the comment that Donald Trump hadn't paid his taxes.
Right.
And in the room, the air got sucked out of the room. It's like, and this was a whole big deal about getting Donald Trump's taxes, and he didn't pay taxes and all this other stuff. And I'm thinking, she is on here thinking that all the American people are stupid, because I immediately understood what was going on.
Right.
In the tax regulations, there's something called net operating losses. When you have a net operating loss in your business, you can carry it back 18 years and carry it forward 2 years. That's 20 years. So the man had a loss in his business. All he was doing is the same thing that other Republicans and Democrats do. He was taking advantage of the tax regulations. Okay? What I tell people to do is do the same thing. I advocate starting a home-based business and writing off everything but the kitchen sink. I've seen it done.
Hold on, Sherry. Let's take a little break here, and then we're going to come back and talk about starting a home-based business. You're listening to Black Talk Radio Network. We are BIB, Blacks in Business. We'll be back after these messages.
The Black Talk Radio Network is made possible in part with help from the Black Talk Media Project, a North Carolina-based nonprofit engaged in the production and distribution of independent digital black media. Find out more by going to blacktalkradionetwork.com or blacktalkmediaproject.org and look for the menu tab, Crowdfunding Black Media. Black Talk Media Project, helping to provide you with new black media for the new millennium. You are tuned in to Black Talk Radio, new black media for the new millennium.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking to Miss Sherry Pill Jackson. She's written the books, How to Stick It to the IRS, Confessions from an Insider, and How to Escape the Rat Race, 4 Keys to Acquire the Life of Your Dreams. She is really giving us some information on the IRS, and that there is no law saying that you have to file your taxes. Now, Sherry, to actually file taxes, that's voluntary, correct?
You know what? It says it all over the place. It's voluntary. And I think they stopped writing it in there because they kept getting challenged on the voluntary part of it. I don't think it's written, but if you go back into the old paperwork and instructions, it says voluntary. And then the way they answer that is like, well, yeah, it's voluntary, but if you don't do it, then they're going to come after you. Like stopping at a stop sign is voluntary, but if you don't do it, the police are going to give you. And that's the example that they use. So what they've done is they've changed some things as people start to research and ask questions about the way certain things are written. Because on line 7 of an income tax return, it says line 7, income. The instructions used to say right under that, used to say foreign income. Why would that be there? Why? You know, so that was questioned also. And liens and levies, there's a portion of 6331A. They would start out on the back of the form showing 6331B. Well, why didn't they put 6331A? We looked it up and it says levy can be made on federal employees. So, you know, as the bottom line is this, and this is, I've gotten older and wiser, and this is what the conclusion that I've come to is something that I think that my father told me a long time ago that Elijah Muhammad said was, don't fight the man in this game. Learn his game and beat him at it. Don't fight him. Learn his game and beat him at it. And what we need to do is just like your show advocates, we need to be entrepreneurs so that we can do the same thing that Donald Trump. He said, I'm a smart man. That's what he said. I heard about it. He said, I'm a smart man when she said that. We want to be smart like that. We want to be like Donald Trump in that manner. We want to make sure that we understand what, without having to go to jail and fight these people and have them following you for the rest of their lives. We want to make sure that we get the benefits that the wealthy get, and that's how to do it.
Right, and in that, before we went to break, wait, hold on, Robert. Before you go to that, I want to not be rude. And before we went into break, you were talking about starting home-based businesses.
Right.
So talk to us about that, because that's what this show is about. You know, we are making sure that we give people the information so that they can be informed to start their own businesses.
Yes, that's what I do all day, every day now, because I know that that's the way for us to become wealthy. You know, you don't have a job to get rich. When you have a job, you're making somebody else rich. And I'm not saying don't have a job. Most people have to have a job. They have mortgages. They have education expenses and cars and these things like that. But what I am saying is turn off that thing you call the TV, that thing that I call the electronic income reducer and the electronic income intellect reducer. When you get home from your job, decompress for about an hour, eat your dinner, spend a little time with your family, and then work on your home-based business until you fall out. And you do that on the weekends instead of watching 5 football games or basketball games in a row, because those people are making 6 and 7 figures and they're not giving you jack squat. We've got
Wait, I heard you say you should not be watching TV if you are not making $10,000 a month.
Yes, I did say that. You are not. You should not be watching TV. I don't watch TV. I don't even have TVCC. I have Netflix.
Right.
And I watch documentaries every once in a while. I don't have ABC, CBS, NBC, or any cable stations because I'm not making somebody else rich. I'm not going to sit there and look at lifestyles of the rich and famous. I'm going to be the rich and famous.
Amen.
But yes, home-based businesses are the way to go. You can start a brick-and-mortar business, but they're more expensive. You go out and buy a franchise from Chick-fil-A or McDonald's. You're paying $300,000. You don't want to do that. You can start a small business for under $1,000.
Right.
And use your brain and use your brawn and build up your business from your home. The immigrants that came over here way back in the early days, that came into New York through Staten Island, they didn't have 2 places. They had, on the bottom, they would have their retail store, and at night they would go upstairs, and that's where they slept. So they didn't have a mortgage and then have to go rent somewhere to try to be to try to look like they were somebody. And that's what a home-based business is. You have your business at home. You do it from home, and you don't have the extra expense of having to go out and pay rent somewhere. If you have to do that, then fine. Some people, it's required by law that you have to do whatever kind of business you have to do it elsewhere. You can't do it in the home. That's why I advocate at least starting out with a home-based business so you won't have extra expenses. And if you start it and you realize that you really don't like it, you haven't sold the cow. You can go and start something else. I know a gentleman that had 28 different businesses before he got the business that made him a millionaire.
Well, before we go forward, let me let Robert make his comment, because I'm sitting here chatting with Scotty, and he's talking about you could actually start your own radio station for less than that. And we know that there's many businesses like that, but you have to be a researcher to find out what it is that you can do to get it going. And there's many things you can do. Again, I listen to Earl Nightingale. I mean, that's my new thing every day. And he talks about that kind of stuff. And I'm sure Sherry talks about that too. Now, Robert, what did you want to ask? I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Let me go on the top end of what you just said. That was just the number Sherry was just throwing out there. 1,000. You can start with $10 or $5 if you have the correct information. So I totally agree with what she's saying. Definitely on the real estate aspect of it too. That's how I got started in business the proper way. Matter of fact, we have a caller that is my mentor who put me in position of buying what they call a mixed-use property, residential on top, commercial on bottom. And from 1998, I've never bought any other property other than those type of situations. So you are 100% correct in what you're saying, sister, and I'm so glad that you are able to be on this show, letting our audience know exactly this type of information, because we do not get this type of information. And you said something, 95% of our people are so afraid of going to jail that they will run from this type of information. But, hey, so it will be, it will be. Now, I got a question in terms of this whole tax situation. I know a guy personally, I know a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine who's been in business quite a few years, almost 30 years. And he shared with me, he said, man, Rob, I've never paid taxes, and I've never had nobody come after me. Now, my question to you is, how is that possible?
Same way it's possible with Donald Trump. When you have a business, you are able to, under Internal Revenue Code Section 162, you are able to deduct all ordinary and necessary business expenses. Well, what is ordinary and necessary? It depends on your business. So let me tell you about ordinary and necessary. There was a woman that deducted $3,200 breast enlargement from her business, and the IRS laughed her out of the room, saying, no, we're taking this deduction away. You will not get a deduction for your breast enlargement. Well, she went to tax court, and she won because Miss Chesty Love was a pole dancer. And, yes, that was an ordinary and necessary business expense for her, and she got her deduction. So if Miss Chesty Love can write off a $3,200 breast enlargement, why black folks scared to write off stuff with their businesses?
Right. Now, I guess what I'm trying, so for the person that's in business that just doesn't even file, though, what about the people that just neglect the whole ideal of filing taxes, period?
Okay.
What do you say on
that? When you have issued to you a W-2, a 1099, a K-1, or any similar forms, the issuer, which is usually a company, is giving the IRS a sworn affidavit that you have taxable income, and the IRS is looking for the money. People that have businesses that don't receive W-2s, 1099s, and all that stuff, the IRS does not have a record of any money that you received. The IRS has to prove income. You have to prove expenses. So if there are no forms sent on you, the only way the IRS is going to know that you made any money is if somebody rats you out and says that James Baker is over there making all this money in his blankety-blank kind of business, and he's not filing taxes. There is a 1-800 line, and people do call in and rat out on people. I had an audit one time like that where a fella had a particular kind of business that it didn't require any kind of forms being sent in on him, and he wasn't filing the business, and he had this big house and he would have these big parties, and he would brag about it, and somebody got jealous and sent a letter in to the IRS. So I went out and audited this man, and sure enough, He had made a lot of money in this business, but the IRS would have never known because there was nothing. See, the IRS doesn't know. They don't know who you are. There are millions of people out there. The only way the IRS knows how much money people make is when you have a job. That's why they want you to have a job so that they can get a W-2, or they want you to be self-employed. There is a difference between being self-employed and being a business owner. Being self-employed means you own a job. That means that if you are not there working, if you get sick or anything like that, there's no money coming in. But when you're a business owner, you have people and systems working for you. So when you are self-employed, you're still receiving a 1099, and that 1099 is a sworn affidavit that you got business income. So everybody doesn't get a 1099. Corporations are not required to get a 1099. So if I have a business and I have people working for me and they make over $600, I have to give them a 1099. But the corporations that are working with me, I'm not required to give them a 1099. So that's how it's possible for them not to even file, because the IRS does not have anything on record in their computer about that person or their business.
Well, you know what, Scotty, the Black Talk Radio Network CEO has got a question for you. Go ahead, Scotty.
Greetings to you, ma'am, and thank you for coming on and sharing this wonderful information. And I had actually saw that documentary by Aaron Russo that you mentioned years ago, and we're also aware of you as well. So I just want to thank you for continuing to share this information with people. In journalism, usually before we say something is credible, we want to find at least 2 to 3 sources. And you are the second person who has come on this program and talked to black people about the importance of starting home-based businesses so that they can get the same deductions like Donald Trump. Because CC and Robert had a guest on who was a former H&R Block tax preparer, and he was giving us that same. It's like he, was reading from the same book that you're reading from. So he was saying the same thing. So you are the second source to confirm that this is credible information. Thank you.
You're quite welcome, sir.
Thank you, Scotty. Well, I mean, I definitely want to invite everyone to engage with you, Sherry. Now, you and I are going to put something together for speaking in St. Louis, but I want to do it right. We were talking about it, but it was kind of on the fly. I want to do it right. So we will collaborate later on and put something together so that you can share this wonderful information and your business consultation expertise with a group of people here in St. Louis. So everyone look forward to that soon. But I want to make sure that everyone knows how to reach out to you and let them know the upcoming things that you have. I think there's something going on in Atlanta in March. So go ahead and let those listeners know about those things.
Okay, they can contact me via my blog site, which is sherrypeeljackson.org. You spell my name Sherry, P as in Peter, EEL, Jackson, sherrypeeljackson.org. That's the blog site.
Okay.
I am having a workshop. I call my workshops the elimination of taxation and debt accumulation frustration. And in these workshops, I go into detail about both my books, How to Escape the Rat Race, 4 Keys to Acquire the Life of Your Dreams, and How to Stick It to the IRS, Confessions from a Former Insider. And we talk about those things in the workshops. The workshop in Atlanta is going to be March 4th. The workshop in Austin, Texas is going to be March 18th. The workshop in Dallas, Texas is going to be March 19th. And the workshop in Tuscaloosa, Alabama is going to be April 1st. The way I operate is that I go to cities where people have a group of people that they want to learn this information. And you and I talked about it, and we can set up St. Louis anytime you want to do that.
Yes, ma'am. We will definitely get that going because, you are a hidden gem in our community. I think I had heard of you before. We have another wonderful radio program that comes on. It's called Tando Radio, and it's hosted by Brother David Wren, and he speaks on these topics like what you're talking about, government corruption and just what they're doing and how they're doing it and what's next, and precious metals and just all these wonderful things that we just don't really know about as regular, quote, citizens. So this information is right up our alley. We're not afraid of whatever it is you need to bring forth on this network. So feel free to definitely come back here at any time and share anything with us, whether it be your books, if you'd like to create a commercial so that it cycles around. We have a huge listening audience, and it's worldwide. So we definitely want to stay connected with you. But I want to make sure that people do reach out to you. They should reach out to you so that they can get some clarity, because I'm looking at Facebook and I'm seeing everybody scrambling around, oh, my tax return, and I'm only getting this much back and this and that. And now that I know what I know, I'm like, you're not even getting enough back. Matter of fact, you shouldn't even been paying into this thing. But of course, people don't have this information. And so I'm excited about sharing the information. Robert, do you have any more questions?
Man, my mind is so frazzled right now because I'm so excited about Sherry coming onto the show. There's a few questions that I needed to get answered. I got them answered. And what I will say is definitely in reference to what you just said about having her back on the show, we definitely want to make sure that this information is shared quite often as possible. Our people really need to know, especially entrepreneurs and our people just in general, really need to know this information about these quote-unquote taxes, that we're paying out. And I salute you, sister. It takes a lot of courage for someone to stand up and be faced with penitentiary and still stand on it and go to penitentiary and stand on what you know to be true. I can't even say believe to be true, what you know to be the truth, and still out here on the grind. I salute you, sister. You keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. I didn't mention that they can go to my website, spjacksonconsulting.com, to get the book.
Yes.
S is in Sherry, P is in Peter, Jackson, spjacksonconsulting.com to get the books. I do consulting. I help people start and grow businesses.
What's the name of the book?
The first book is How to Escape the Rat Race, 4 Keys to Acquire the Life of Your Dreams. The second book is How to Stick It to the IRS, Confessions from a Former Insider. So the first book talks about starting a home-based business, what you need to do to get from 0 to 6 figures. Because when I got home from prison, I was at 0. Now I'm back to 6 figures. And if I can do it, I teach people how to do that because I know how to do it. The other book is basically a whole bunch of juicy stories about the IRS and how to handle the IRS and audits and those. So they really go hand in hand, both books, because you need to know how to start a business, but you also need to know how to deal with the IRS.
Well, I think we can really draw a certain type of audience, because just like everything else, they try to shame you into, hiding, but people need this information. If you've been troubled by the IRS, please reach out to Sherry so that she can get you some consultation, people. I mean, don't be scared. That's what they did all this time, is they scared you into it. Now, Sherry, let me ask you this, because we were watching something about Wesley Snipes and how they put him away and all that. What in the world could he have done differently? Because he was trying to stand up for himself, but unfortunately it didn't work.
Wesley Snipes, he was hanging around with some of the same people that I was hanging around with. From my understanding, he discovered the same thing that I discovered, that there was no law that required anybody that lived and worked in the 50 states to file and pay. He acted on that, and he asked had paperwork filed to get money back that he had paid over a 3-year period. So they got angry at that because, you know, you get somebody that's making that much money and somebody that's that popular doing that, then it's going to be a big stink. So they charged him with fraudulent filing and some other stuff. And so not only did he ask for the funds back, but he also, I believe, didn't file any more after that. And his legal team,
our lawyers and their crooks and their
the lawyers
government
talked him into saying that he made a mistake.
Right.
Whatever happened in court, the people decided that Wesley Snipes was not a felon, so the felony charges were denied. He was found not guilty on the felony charges, but because people have been brainwashed into thinking that there's nothing sure in life but death and taxes, they found him guilty on the misdemeanor charges. So we both had the same charges: willful failure to file tax return. And he got a 3 years, and I got 4 because I had 4 years of non-filing where I was making 6 figures, and he had 3 years of non-filing where he was probably making 7 figures.
Wow. So these books that you've written and this consultation that you give definitely can help people out of these situations. So, I mean, I would really like for people to reach out to you and get the help that they need because, I mean, people commit suicide over owing taxes. I mean, it's just so crazy. Now that we know that it's not any legal matter for you to go and pay taxes, I mean, just think of all the lives that have been lost, you know, people getting ulcers, all kind of situations. And, I mean, I just, again, can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Feel free to reach out to us anytime to talk about, you know, upcoming events, books, or what have you, creating commercials, like I said. But, again, we just want to thank you from the bottom of our heart at BIB Radio and Black Talk Radio Network. Yes. And, yeah, we're ending the show. It's getting late here. Robert, you got any last words?
Yes, I do have one thing to say. Viva Las Vegas. Here we come. Here we come. Viva Las Vegas. We are on our way to Vegas, folks. Yes, sir. Our relocation is inevitable. We have made the decision. Las Vegas will be our home. A matter of fact, you should learn about Nevada. Incorporate in Nevada. You have total immunity to anyone knowing about your tax structure, your corporate structure. That is a beautiful state to be in when you want to do business. So, Viva Las Vegas, here we come.
Okay. Sherry, any last words for our listeners?
Just be diligent and go and start that home-based business, everybody on this line.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us again, everyone. Join us next week at the same time, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for BIB Radio. Thank you to our guests, both of you, Brother Rahim and Sister Sherry. Good night, everyone. Have a good rest. Bye-bye.